on, guys? I'm Brian.
I'm Mike.
And we are talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, if you can't tell by our sign. It is the 9th film from Quentin Tarantino, and it is basically a Quentin Tarantino film.
Hallelujah.
As far as you can tell, this is pure Quentin Tarantino. It has the action in it. Not very much of it though. That adds up at the end. Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. We get Al Pacino, Luke Perry, and I think this is his final movie before he died.
I think so. Kurt Russell, Al Pacino,
Roman Polanski, Steve McQueen. They actually bring in old footage from old movies. Like Sharon Tate is actually in this movie, and that's who Margot Robbie is playing. And it's insane because I'm looking at a picture of her on my phone. And Sharon Tate is right below Margot Robbie, and they look almost similar to each other.
Wow.
They look pretty damn close to it. So, anyways,
you know who also looks similar? The guy that played Charles Manson and Charles Manson.
Yeah, you know, there's so we'll get into that though. The movie is about Rick Dalton, who is Leonardo DiCaprio, and Cliff Booth, who is Brad Pitt.
He's the best actor. He's the best actor I've ever seen.
And he starts crying. He was in this old TV show. I forget what the name was called. It was
Bounty Law.
That's it, Bounty Law.
Bounty Law.
He wants to be a more serious actor, but the only thing that he can get is westerns, because this takes place in the '60s in LA, Hollywood, and stuff like that. And Brad Pitt is his chauffeur, but he was also his stuntman. And there's a whole bunch of stuff where why can't you get me any work with Brad Pitt? And he's okay with being just Leo's friend and his chauffeur because Leo got a DUI for drinking and driving.
Yeah.
But there you see these other people come in, which is Roman Polanski's in it, who's somebody who's playing Roman Polanski. Let me find who's playing him.
Everyone having a good day.
There's so many good actors in this movie, and it's surprising how good this cast actually is. Because before I even knew about this movie, I saw no trailers. I saw nothing for it.
I'm Rick Dalton. It's my pleasure, Mr. Schwartz.
Call me Marvin. Put it there. That your son?
No, it's my stunt double, Cliff Booth.
And I didn't know this movie was coming out until I saw it in the theater.
It's so good.
There is somebody who plays Roman Polanski. They do it during the time of the Manson era, where he's roaming around. And not cool thing, but interesting fact about it was that they actually do bring in the Manson family in this. There's Love Childs, there's Tex, there's Moonflower and all that garbage.
Yeah. All the like 60s hippie names.
Dakota Fanning's in this movie too.
She's one of the people.
She might be. In all honesty, I didn't even realize Dakota Fanning was in this movie. Anyways, they're basically just going through their everyday life in Hollywood, but all this historical stuff is happening around them. Leo is doing this movie for I don't even remember who the director was, but Jay Sebring, that's who it was. And it's a pilot for a new TV show, which is actually a real TV show that they did.
Jay Sebring's one of Sharon Tate's friends.
That's who it was. I'm trying to figure out who this is. It's not him.
No.
Was it him? Yeah, it was. Charles Watson.
No.
What, it wasn't?
No. Well, we'll think of it when we think of it.
We'll think of it. But anyways, they do this. He does a pilot for this old TV show where he's a bad guy, and this little girl is with him, and she is a very serious actress. Or actor, as she put it, and it's just when you see the trailer and he goes, "That is the best acting I've ever seen in my life," and he starts crying. There's so much comedy and there's so much it's a fun movie for seeing how they interact with the people that are in this era of movies.
Right.
He ends up going to
Brad Pitt goes to Spawn Ranch.
He goes to Spawn Ranch, and this is when the Manson family is taken over. And he sees George.
But he's blind.
He's blind and he's sleeping. And oh, you know who Dakota Fanning was? She was the redhead.
Was she?
Yeah, she was Red. Red is the killer for that whole. She's the one that's taking care of George, and there's the sex and the drugs and all that stuff that's involved with it. You never see any of that because they don't show any of it. But the end of the movie, we're gonna hit the spoilers just so that we can get
the best ending in any movie I've ever seen. Second.
They come back from Italy for doing the spaghetti western movies.
Spaghetti westerns.
And they're celebrating one last night all together with
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Booth, Dawson, is his name Dawson? Rick Dalton, and his new wife, and the Manson family, and they're living right next to
Sharon Tate
and what was the director's name? Roman Polanski. So their house is right next to it, and so if for anybody that's a historical buff for that sort of Hollywood stuff, that's the night that they were going to go and kill. They're actually going to go kill one of the Beach Boys, but Roman Polanski bought the house. And
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
he bought the house, and then they didn't know that.
They changed and stuff like that. So that's where the Sharon Tate murders happen. That never happens in this movie.
It's so good though.
Brad Pitt has a dog, and did they ever name the dog? Was it Betsy or something?
I think it's like Bailey or something.
Bailey, something like that. And he's higher than a kite because he smoked a cigarette that was dipped in acid that was given to him.
Hey, you want to buy an acid dipped cigarette?
By Pussycat.
What's it do?
That's
Gets
her.
you high? Okay. For like what? $2 or something?
It was like $1 or something like that.
Yeah, it was like $1.
Because it was the 60s and that quarter got you in the movie. I wouldn't have got it, but
25 cents get in.
They actually invade Leonardo DiCaprio's house instead of going to Sharon Tate's place to kill them first, and then go into Roman Polanski's place. And
Leonardo DiCaprio's sitting out back in his pool with
margaritas and
he's
stuff.
like trashed, just floating in his pool. And
his wife is in the bedroom.
Brad Pitt's inside feeding his dog.
And that was the grossest looking dog food ever.
Rat flavor?
Where he went like this, and it came out in the can form and hit the thing and stayed in that form. And then he looks at the three who came in. It's Tex and two women who that is true.
Yeah.
Where
because there's supposed to be a fourth one, but the fourth one drove away with the car. Stranded.
Which that's not true. That's just comedy. She actually did go through with it, but she stayed in the car.
Right.
She stayed, and she was the getaway driver.
Yeah.
And he makes this noise, and the dog just goes off and starts biting Tex, bites his arm, bites his thigh, and then bites his crotch. And Brad Pitt throws the full can of dog food.
Like a football.
And it makes the most just satisfying, like, thunk noise against her face. Like, it just thunk against her face, and it just destroys her nose.
God.
Absolutely destroys her nose. She's just screaming and screaming, and she was done for a good, like, 10 minutes. All she was doing was just screaming.
Right.
And then
she comes back. She pops up and runs outside.
I forget it's the wife that attacks the redhead, and then the dog attacks the redhead too.
Yeah.
And basically tears her throat out. And then the girl that got hit in the face with the can just starts screaming, waving a knife around. Runs outside into the pool where Leo is, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And so going back really quickly, there's a callback to him in a war film.
World War II German Nazi hunter film.
Yeah, and he has a flamethrower.
Oh, you know where this is going.
And he used the flamethrower. He goes, "Anybody want fried sauerkraut, and he flames them all, and he's learning how to use this flamethrower.
It's
and
too hot.
It's the best line in the world. He's like, "Is there anything we can do about the heat?" And the guy goes, "It's a flamethrower."
It's a flamethrower.
How to kill him.
Anybody order fried sauerkraut? From you Nazi bastards!
He goes, "Oh shit!" And he falls into the water, and he just dives under her while she's screaming in the water. Like this, it's a very graphic scene, extremely graphic.
One of the best scenes
This is the reason why it got an R-rating film, because the rest of it, the worst thing that they did was say the F word. That's all they were saying.
Yeah. So he goes into the shed, right?
He
and
goes
he gets his flamethrower, and he goes back out to the pool, and she pops out of the pool, freaking out. And he just torches her. Just absolutely just. He talk about fireworks, and she's just getting burnt. She's screaming while this is getting burnt. It's extremely graphic and extremely it's obscene with how much violence is in this. It's literally about 5 minutes, just pure violence. Yeah.
When any other Quentin Tarantino film that you've seen, there's at least 4 or 5 different scenes of violence. There's nothing like that in this movie. At the end, they don't kill the plant. They don't kill Tate. They don't kill anything like that.
Because then they make it through Brad Pitt and
and Leonardo DiCaprio and his Italian-speaking wife. But we didn't talk about probably the best scene in this movie, and this is actually a scene that has gotten a lot of controversy through it. Is the Bruce Lee scene.
Oh yeah, where Bruce Lee gets slammed into that car.
And he's going and from what I've heard, he wasn't as cocky as he is in this movie. Like, he was probably pretty cocky, but he wasn't like, if I punch you, I could kill you, and then I go to jail for manslaughter, or I go to jail. And Brad Pitt goes, anybody would go to jail for that. It's called manslaughter. I'm not the biggest fan of Brad Pitt.
Nah, Brad Pitt's so good.
In this movie, he is fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm also not the biggest fan of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Nah, dude.
There's movies I like of him in it, like Django Unchained and
God, yes.
and Shutter Island.
White cake with white icing.
And this movie made me just fall in love with both of those actors, because you know what the last movie was that I saw and with Brad Pitt in it was
World War Z.
You know, I forgot about that one, but that wasn't a very good movie. Honestly, it really wasn't. It was Burn After Reading, and he was the only part that I really liked with him, and it was he got shot in the closet. You haven't seen that movie? It's in all honesty, it's such a weird movie. I usually don't recommend, because we're talking about something else. I don't recommend Burn After Reading. And it has a star-studded cast in it too. Like, it has George Clooney in it and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways,
wasn't Brad Pitt in The Men Who Stare at Goats? Is that him? I probably think so.
No, that was George Clooney. I think he might have been in it. I have no idea. But anyways, going back to this, they start having a fight, and Bruce Lee kicks him
He knocks him down.
He's like, okay. And he goes to kick him again, and he tosses him into a car and just dents the hell out of him.
Bruce Lee charge at Brad Pitt, and the immediate next scene is just a car, side of a car, and Bruce Lee gets thrown into it. There's a giant dent.
Honestly, I haven't seen this movie, or I saw this movie a couple days after it came out.
Yeah,
and I really want to see it again.
Yeah, dude, let's go. We'll get my dad. We'll go.
That was
solid. Solid.
Because usually what we talk about on this channel is Disney films and Marvel. Any video game films like Rampage, which is for some reason one of our bigger.
Doom.
Don't even talk about Doom.
Guilty pleasure.
This is a movie where you'll sit down, you'll know what's going on because it's historically accurate, kind of, until it gets to the last part. And then it's a fun ride to go on, just like any other Quentin Tarantino movie. I'd probably place this in probably the top 5 of Tarantino movies. Pulp Fiction being number 1, obviously, and then Reservoir Dogs.
Never seen Reservoir Dogs.
That's a really good movie. The only movie that I actually never enjoyed from him was Inglourious Basterds. I couldn't get into it.
You seen Hateful Eight?
I did. The Hateful Eight was a really good movie. That was a very enjoyable movie. Chris Pratt, Denzel Washington, all that good stuff. But anyways, in all honesty, I give this a 4 out of 5. There was a couple things where I got very bored by it. It's a very slow-paced movie, but it's supposed to be. I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
I give it a 4 out of 5. I especially like some of the humor. What is it? It's an acid dip cigarette. What does it do?
Gets you high.
Gets you high.
And he, watching Leonardo DiCaprio just go off like because of his acting and stuff like that, how he can't get a job anymore. That's really fun to watch. It's a well acted movie. It's a very well acted movie, and it's a very fun movie to watch. Anyways, guys, I'm Brian.
I'm Mike.
And oh, wait a minute, they do a Batman thing at the end.
Oh yeah, that.
Where it's an old ad from the radio station, and Leonardo DiCaprio does a Red Apple cigarettes ad with a standee of him with the Red Apple cigarettes, and which is funny because going back then, there was Flintstones commercials for cigarettes, and they literally had, I don't remember who it was, but an example, Marlboro Lights in the Stone Age. And he goes, the best thing after dinner with Wilma is a cigarette. He takes a big puff of it, and it's over. Anyways, guys, we'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe, and go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a very good movie. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is Batman
And Robin.
with exclusive news for KHJ listeners.
It's the Bat Phone Secret Number Contest presented by Boss Radio.
There's a terrific prize for the first KHJ listener to guess the secret number of our Bat Phone.
You've seen us answering the Bat Phone on TV. It's a special hotline Commissioner Gordon uses to contact us whenever there's trouble.
There are 7 digits in the Bat Phone's secret number. Listen to what you'll win if yours is the first correct answer received by KHJ.